That's right, everyone. Today we are talking about yet another live-action adaptation of an anime series. Wait, don't leave. Hi everybody, Carla here, and this is my fandom vlog where I talk about my fandoms or about fandom in general. I hope you're all doing well. I hope the pandemic is treating you well, because yes, indeed, we are still in a pandemic. Where I live, we are currently under lockdown. Again, for at least 2 more weeks. Who knows if that's gonna happen? Maybe they will extend it. I don't know, people are being butts. So I guess we're on lockdown for a while. I already have to start my classes for next semester online again, after we thought that maybe we might not have to do that this semester, but God, the pandemic is what it is, and humanity is what it is, and vaccines are moving at a snail's pace, so guess there's no other way. I hope the pandemic is treating you better than it's treating me at the moment, but just be safe, guys. It's important. Be safe. Get vaccinated. Wear a mask if you have to. Just take care of yourself, okay? Thank you. Anyway, before I say anything about this episode in particular, I wanted to mention that I uploaded a new extra video to my Patreon. It's a Patreon exclusive, so if you wanna go check it out, then you'll want to subscribe to my Patreon page. Or on the other hand, you can also donate on my Ko-fi page. If you leave me a note telling me, hey, I want to see your video about this, then I'll get back to you with a link probably. But the most effective way of getting these extra videos that I post is to subscribe to my Patreon. So think about doing that maybe. I mean, no pressure, but you know, it's fun. Not today, I posted it like 2 days ago, but like this video that I'm talking about is about the Netflix series Shadow and Bone, which I just finished watching, and I had thoughts, so I thought I might as well just, you know, chat with you guys about it for a little bit and just tell you what I thought about it. It's not like a long video or anything. I think it's like 13 minutes or so, but you know, if you're interested, you might want to subscribe to my Patreon. I have lots of goodies in there, so be sure to check it out. But today I am going to talk about the new RUROUNI KENSHIN movie, that is live action adaptation of the RUROUNI KENSHIN anime. And the movie is called RUROUNI KENSHIN The Final. It is the newest in a series of movie adaptations for Kenshin. There have been 3 already in the past. This is the 4th movie, and there is a 5th one coming. And I was originally going to wait until the 5th one premiered. I think it comes out on June 30th, actually, so it's pretty close. But I enjoyed this one so much that I really wanted to talk about it before I move on to the next one, I guess, because I know what you're thinking. Like, as soon as anybody says like live action adaptation of an anime, you can hear the groans from like the depths of Tartarus or something. Like the groans just rise up from the earth from every corner of the planet, because generally speaking, people tend to think that live action adaptations of anime series are just not good. I don't hold to that idea necessarily. I think some of them are okay. I think some of them are pretty decent, and I actually enjoyed a few of them. Like the Fullmetal Alchemist one, I really liked it. I did a review on it actually on my channel, so be sure to watch that if you haven't yet. The Bleach one that Netflix did was not great. There have been some that were done before the age of streaming, I guess, that have been terrible. So, you know, it's kind of hit and miss to me. There are some that are really good, and there are some properties that really lend themselves to being adapted in live action. And I think probably because of that, for me, the Kenshin movies have always been the gold standard when it comes to anime adaptation. And it may have to do with the fact that Kenshin is, generally speaking, pretty realistic. Like, it's a samurai anime, so of course it's not necessarily realistic per se, but it doesn't require like huge special effects and whatever. Generally speaking, it can be adapted in a pretty realistic manner, and I think that's why these movies have been so successful, because that's the thing. You know, if people really thought the Kenshin adaptations were terrible, like every other anime adaptation apparently, they wouldn't have made 5 of them. Like, clearly they are making some money somewhere, because Warner Brothers would not make more of them if they hadn't. I think the first one is probably the best one. I think the first one is incredible. Like, when I say gold standard, I generally mean the first one. The Kyoto movies, so the second and the third one, are good, not necessarily the best, but I enjoyed them. You know, they're pretty good, and obviously they made money because they immediately went to try and make a fourth one. The fourth one took a while. I think the Kyoto movies came out in 2014 or something, and then by 2016 they had announced that they were working on another one, an adaptation of the Jinshu arc of the manga, which was actually never adapted in the anime. So that's super, it's immediately an incentive for me, because I get to see on screen a part of the Kenshin saga that I never saw on screen, you know. But it took them a long time to get it going. I think, I don't know, conflicts with the cast or whatever. I think one of the actresses got pregnant or something, and they couldn't film at that point, so it didn't really get rolling until like 2019. That's like 5 years after the previous movie came out, which is a lot. So I wasn't sure how well this was going to do. When it was supposed to come out in 2020, then the pandemic, so it's been forever since the last Kenshin movie came out, and I was a little iffy on whether they would be able to keep the spirit of it. And now that it came out, it's on Netflix. You can watch it, I believe, everywhere outside Japan. You can just watch it on Netflix right now. The older ones are on some Netflix locations, not in all of them. Like, I can't watch them here in Australia in Netflix. For some reason, I believe they're like on Funimation or Animalab or something like that. I think they have the exclusivity, so you can't really watch the previous ones on Netflix. It depends on where you are, really. I already own them, so I just rewatched them all with my brother, who hadn't watched them. He had only watched the first one, I think. So yeah, we watched all of them in preparation for this fourth movie, and then we watched the fourth movie, and can I just say, it was incredible. I really love this movie. I think it might be my favorite, like maybe like just head to head with the first one. I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was really good. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do today. I'm going to give you a little bit of my thoughts on the latest Kenshin movie, and maybe some thoughts about what might be coming next in the 5th movie, which is going to be a prequel to the Kenshin saga entirely. So it's the Tomoe arc, I guess. I don't even know how to call it anymore. Seiyokuhen? I don't remember what the name was. As a little bit of a prelude, I just want to say again, Kenshin is one of my oldest fandoms. I used to watch Kenshin when I was a kid on the TV in Spanish. It was it was a completely different feel to watching it in Japanese. And I never did watch the anime in Japanese. I watched it in Spanish, and that was it. I never rewatched it after that. But I loved the Kenshin story. I mean, some of the first fanfics that I wrote were about Kenshin. I loved this world so much. It's one of my favorite animes of all time. And I did read the manga. I did get to reading the manga, so I know what happens in the Jinshu arc, but it's been a while. I'm just warning you. I read it when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, and then I never really read it again. I own the last volume, so I've reread the last volume since then, but not like the entire Jinchu arc. I've only read it once, so I have like a general feel of what happened during the Jinchu arc. I don't have the exact details, so I may be saying that something feels like faithful to the manga when it's not. But it's just because the general feeling I have of what happened during the Jinchu arc, that I can't really remember all the details, but I wanted it to feel faithful to the essence of the Jinchu arc, because the Jinchu arc is I don't think it's the best Kenshin arc, but it's my favorite Kenshin arc, because I love Anishi, and I will wax lyrical about this later on. I liked how connected the arc was to Kenshin directly, not just in the bad guy wants to be the strongest kind of way, like it was in the in the Shishio arc, but it felt really directly connected to Kenshin, and I really enjoyed that. And so I may not remember all the details, but for me, if the movie kind of presented the essence of what the Jinchu arc was and it works, that's fine by me. So yeah, that's basically the disclaimer I wanted to give. Like, please, I mean, feel free to point out if I say something is faithful and it turns out it didn't happen that way in the manga. I mean, it's fine. Sure, you're right. I just don't remember. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Like, I'm not like saying it on purpose. I don't remember a lot of stuff a lot of the detail that actually happened in the Jinchu arc. I just have like the general impressions of it, and that's what I like. So yeah, let's start from the top. So first I want to speak about the production value, because okay, first thing I have to say is that Kenshin's hair is not red enough in this movie. And I always, like, my brother and I were watching all the first 3 movies, and every time there would be like a scene where Kenshin's hair just didn't look red, and my brother would be like, did they like lose the hair dye in this scene or what? And I'm just like, no, it's lighting, it's fine. He'll stand outside in the sun and you'll see that his hair is red. That didn't happen in this one. I'm actually wondering if they just lost like the recipe for the hair dye that they used the first time around. I mean, it's been quite a few years, so I wouldn't be surprised. But like, his hair just did not look red in any scenes with any lighting. It was just strange, and it was funny because then when he would stand under the sunlight and Kaoru was standing beside him, their hair looked the exact same color. And I was like, that's just wrong. And I don't normally complain about hair color because that's dumb. Like, Kenshin's hair color doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, not really. But I liked that it was red in the first 3 movies. Like, not like bright red, not like Irish red or anything, but it was reddish, you know, like in a way that Japanese people, their hair is not normally that red. And I liked that because it made it feel like they were actually at least trying to be, you know, faithful to the anime. And then this one, it was like they didn't try. And I don't know if that was the color balance for the movie in the end, but even when he was in the sunlight, it was like, nope, not red, just like normal brown. So yeah, maybe put a little bit more of the budget into hair dyes. I don't know, I mean, it's been 7 years, so I guess I can cut them a break. Another thing that bugged me was, hey, did all the Chinese people need to have Fu Manchus? Like, come on now. Is that not a little racist? I think just a little. Like, I understand that racism among Asian people is slightly different. Like, it would be a lot more egregious if this were a movie where everybody was white and all the Chinese people were wearing Fu Manchus, but still, like, come on, it's a tiny bit racist, right? They could have done better. I'm just saying. Speaking of things that that suddenly stand out that really shouldn't stand out. It cracks me up that all of Inishi's mooks have uniforms. Like, I understand why they did it. They needed to like give the mooks a specific palette so that we could tell when there were these big melee fights, so that we could tell who the good guys were and who the bad guys were. I get it, but it's very silly to imagine Inishi like forcing his mooks to wear uniforms. It's just like, why would you just pay them and let them die for you? That's it. That's all you need. You don't need them to look uniform. You don't need them to all look the same. So that was kind of hilarious. In a totally unrelated to the film itself issue, I love me some Wanna Rock, but also I noticed that the ending song, which was good, I love the ending song, I love Wanna Rock, I love that they have sort of taken the Kenshin movies under their wing and they have made all the songs for the movies. But I noticed as I was watching the credits that the ending song, Renegades, for this movie was co-written by Ed Sheeran. Like, how random is that? I mean, I have nothing against Ed Sheeran. I like his music. It was just so weird to see his name in the credits of a RUROUNI KENSHIN movie. I don't know, I just thought it was funny, whatever. Now, let me talk a little bit about the cinematography. It was pretty obvious that they had a bigger budget for this one, and that's saying a lot because the Kyoto movies, the Shishio movies, were pretty high budget, I thought. But this one, it felt way higher. Like, just the sets that they had, and you know, they had more scenes than just in the dojo. Like, they went places. it was like out in the town and stuff. Like, it felt like they were putting more money on it. And the cinematography is gorgeous too. I especially just there was one scene that particularly stood out to me, and it was when Kenshin was fighting the guy with the machine gun arm. Oh, by the way, I don't know any of the names of Inishi's like minions. That's one of the things that I don't remember. I remembered one name, Gain. That's all I remember. Like, that he's the only one I remember. He's not even in the movie. I will talk more about that later. But like, I'm just saying, whenever I say like, oh, that one guy that had the thingy, it's one of the minions. It doesn't I don't know what their names are. Anyway, when Kenshin was fighting the guy with the machine gun arm, that set was incredible. It was beautiful. But also, there's a shot, there's a particular shot, and I wasn't able to find a screen cap for it. The closest I got was that, right? It's in that scene when he's fighting, but like afterwards when he defeats the guy, and the guy is like on the ground, and Kenshin is about to walk away, and the guy is like asking Kenshin to kill him. And there's a shot where Kenshin is walking away, so he's like right here in the foreground, and the guy is in the ground screaming, and then there's just fire in the background and night, and you can see like the rows of destroyed shops and stuff, and it's gorgeous. It's a gorgeous shot, and I thought it was bloody beautiful. And there were a lot of scenes in this movie that I thought the shots themselves were really, really beautiful. So kudos to that, because I don't think I got that feeling in the Kyoto movies. Maybe in the first one at some point, but like not in the two Kyoto movies. So it was good to see like artistry in the camera work in this one. I really enjoyed that. And also they did very specific things that felt very cinematographically like important, like meaningful. For example, when Inishi and Kenshin were fighting, the sun comes out mid-fight, and it starts getting like slowly getting brighter and brighter and brighter, so that it's daytime. And I thought it was very poetic, because you can sort of see, like visually appreciate the tide of the fight changing, you know. And I just really enjoyed that. Now let's talk about the fight choreography, because if you know me, like pick any video on my channel, if you know me, you know that I don't necessarily like fight scenes in most things that I watch. I don't really care, but I do enjoy when the fight scene choreography is well done enough that, and then the shots are recorded in a way that allows me to actually see the movements of the fight, especially if it's like a martial arts thing. I really enjoyed seeing the moves, you know, being able, it's not just like fast cuts and no, but like actually seeing that you put an effort into the choreography. I really like that, and that is one of my favorite things in the Kenshin movies, and this is no exception. I thought the fights were amazing. Like seriously, I really, no wonder it takes them 7 years. It would take me a year just to plan all this choreography. It's insane. But like, for example, when Kenshin goes to fight Inishi in the climax of the movie, like he goes to Inishi's place and he comes in and there's a bunch of mooks just waiting for him, and he just starts dodging them. That's my favorite thing in the world, like when Kenshin just dodges mooks left and right. I adore that. It's so Kenshin and I love it, and it looks so cool. And they did it when he got to Inishi's compound, you know, before the others got there as backup, and I freaking love it every time. It's great. Also, I love that Misao got a proper fight scene. Girls don't get many proper fight scenes in this series, and I don't necessarily blame, you know, the movies for that. That's a thing that unfortunately happens in Kenshin a lot. Like, yeah, they get fight scenes every once in a while, but it's usually like, oh, 2 or 3 of the girls have to like fight together because they're weaker or whatever than, you know, the rest of the swordsmen who are men. But so I don't blame the people in the movies for not showcasing what the women in the show can do, but I was very glad to see that Misao got like an actual proper fight scene this time around, and she was badass at it. She even got the Morpheus like come at me gesture. Like, I love it, and she fought with tonfas. I adore. I'm just like, I love it so much. I thought it was a great scene. I'm so happy she got like a big fight scene, and it wasn't Oshi. I'm very glad of that. I think the Inishi and Kenshin fight in the end of the movie is sort of like top tier fighting for me. Like there are a few fights in these movies that I feel have like properly stood out to me. Like, all the fights are great, generally speaking, but there are a few that are just like beautiful to watch. For me, that was, for example, the Sojiro fight in the, I believe it was the second movie, when they're in the village and Kenshin goes to try and fight Shishio, but Shisho's like, no, you fight Sojiro first, and Sojiro breaks his sword. I thought that fight was chef's kiss. It was amazing. It's an incredible fight, and I think the Kenshin and Nishi fight in this movie might actually be at the same level. Like, I really love this fight. It was fantastic. Like, guys, Inishi cuts down a lamp and then kicks it at Kenshin. Like, do you understand what I'm saying? He kicks a lamp. Like, generally, just Anishi's entire fighting style with the spinning and the kicks, it's just fucking flawless, and you can tell the two different styles apart so clearly, and it's just beautiful how they go at each other in such different ways, and it works perfectly. I love. I'm just saying, it's fucking flawless. I love it. Now, let's talk a little bit about the pacing. I did think the first half felt a little slow. Like, I remember we were watching it and my brother asked me to pause it because he had to drop something off at the sink or whatever. So I paused it and I'm like, holy crap, we're only halfway through this. I thought we were almost at the end. Like, it was it was going by really slow for me the first half. That kind of also happened in the first Kyoto movie. Like, I didn't really start getting into it until the fight with Sojiro, and then after that it kind of went down again. But you know, looking back on it, because I've already seen the movie twice, this movie, the final, I've already seen it twice, and the second time it didn't feel that bad. So I think it might have been more that I had this expectation going in that this movie, because they had already announced that it was going to be 2 movies coming out like one after the other, right? So I thought it was going to be a 2-parter, like the Kyoto saga was a 2-parter. That's what I thought they were going to do. I hadn't read up on it or anything, I just kind of assumed. And I thought that they were going to end the movie at the part where Kaoru is kidnapped. I thought that was going to be the ending of this movie, and then the second half was going to be in the second movie. So I think that might have affected how I felt about the pacing of the movie, and that's why the first half felt like it was almost at the end all the time, and then it wasn't, and it felt weird to me. But it's because I had that expectation in my mind after watching it the first time around, knowing where it like that it was going to do the whole saga in one movie. I felt much better about it, and the first half actually went by a little bit faster for me. So like, fully admit that's my bad. But I still love the movie. Like, even like I said, I've seen it twice, and I only liked it more the second time around. So yeah, that's I think a little bit of the peril of expectation there, and it's entirely my fault. I don't blame the movie. I don't think it's slow anymore. I just did that first time around because I'm stupid. Whatever. Also, I thought the flashback scenes were going to be like super cringe, but dang, they like because I was watching it not knowing that the second movie was actually going to be a prequel. I thought that these scenes they had just filmed for this movie. You know, like I didn't know what was coming, but they went ahead and made a whole movie out of it. Like, so yeah, I can't understand why they had so many flashback scenes. And honestly, they weren't cringe at all. They were fine. I'm still not entirely sure how I'm going to feel about the next movie, about the prequel, because the whole Tomoe story is not my favorite part of Kenshin, but I don't know, the flashback scenes sort of made me a little bit excited about it. Like, I don't know how I'm gonna take a movie where I don't have Kaoru and Sano and Misao and Megumi and those people, but you know, I'm not as reticent as I once was. I'm actually looking forward to it, especially if they can give us more in-depth information about Kenshin. Like, I don't care about Tomoe. Sorry. I mean, I know a lot of people love her because she's like very Yamato no Desu or whatever. Like, she's total waifu material. It's everybody has their kinks. It's fine. I don't care for her. Like, I don't hate her. She's fine. I'm glad she was Kenshin's first wife and first love, and great. I mean, I'm sorry she had to die, but like, she's not one of my favorite characters, so I'm not like super excited to see a movie with just her and Kenshin, but I'm actually looking forward to it now a little bit, I think, because of the flashback scenes, because they seemed really well done. I do hope, however, that they give us at least a glimpse of the Kenshin epilogue, because this movie cuts off in real time, right? Like, right after the Inishi saga is over, it ends. But if you read the Kenshin manga, there's an epilogue like years later, years down the road. Kenshin and Kaoru are married and they have a kid, and like Sano's run off to like China or whatever, and Megumi's nice, and like there's a small little epilogue to the series that I hope they give us in the next movie. I don't think they will. It seems from everything I've seen that the movie is just the past, not the future, but that would make me like, I don't know, it would be really cute, I think, because this movie we didn't get to see it. We got a hint of it, I guess, at the end with Kenshin and Kaoru, but like, we don't really get to see them be happy and get to see Kenshin move on, and I would like to see that. So fingers crossed. I don't know if you're in Japan, don't spoil it for me, but I do hope we get to see at least a little bit of a glimpse into the epilogue and, you know, get to see the Kenshin Gumi again one last time. It would be a nice way to bring the whole series full circle in a way. Now, let me talk about some plot elements and scenes. Just let me say right off the top, like, me mouthing the word every time somebody said Jinshu. Like, seriously, every time anybody ever said Jinshu, I mouthed it along with them because that's how obsessed I am with that word. Like, judgment of man, anyone? Like, I love the word Jinshu. I love the theme of Jinshu in general. I love the symbolism of Jinshu in general. And I don't understand why this movie was not titled RUROUNI KENSHIN Judgment of Man. RUROUNI KENSHIN Jinshu. Like, why not? That was the perfect name. I don't get it. The final doesn't even make sense. I mean, I guess it makes sense if you don't count the sequel, but I do count the sequel, so it doesn't make sense to me, and it should have been named Jinshu. So yeah, there's my main complaint. There we go. Also, I found it funny that there was a fight on top of a train, or at least partially on top of a train, because trains are like a meme in the Kenshin fandom. So I see what you did there, movie makers. Also, Kenshin was on a horse later in the movie, at one point, I think. I'm not actually... Was he? I can't remember now. Maybe it was in the Kyoto saga, but like, Kenshin on a horse is also a meme, and that's just funny. I enjoyed getting to see the Ururuni clinic. I don't think it was like that big of a deal, but I liked seeing the clinic, liked seeing Megumi working and not just like getting called in to save someone while she's on her free time. I don't know, I like that. One of my favorite scenes in the movie is the scene with Megumi and Kaoru and the umbrella. I love that because Megumi and Kaoru's relationship in the manga and in the anime was very confrontational, because they pushed very hard the idea that Megumi was in love with Kenshin or something. And while I respect that in the manga, in the movies it hasn't really come out. You know, they haven't really mentioned that at all. It seems like Megumi is very supportive of Kenshin and Kaoru getting together, so I enjoyed the less antagonistic relationship between these two. It really did feel like they could be friends, and I enjoyed that. And that scene specifically, I really enjoyed because of that, because it seemed, you know, Megumi trying to lift Kaoru up from whatever, like, downer thoughts she was having at the moment about Tomoe. So I don't know, I really like that. I'm glad they went that way. I'm glad they didn't have Megumi in love with Kenshin and set her up as a rival for Kaoru. I don't think that was necessary, even back in the manga. Like, they should have just been like normal friends, and I like that. I like that they made that change. Also, seriously, stop going after Kenshin with machine guns. We know he's faster than bullets. This has been established in all 3 of the previous movies. Like, I'm pretty sure there's been a machine gun in all 3 of them. At least once. So, like, we know Kenshin can outrun bullets. Don't do it again. I know it's kind of the biggest thing they had, given the time period this is taking place in, but, like, do we have to see it every time? I'm just saying. I'm kidding. It's fun. Keep doing it. I am very glad they didn't show us Tomoe's ghost. I mean, we saw flashbacks, both from Kenshin's point of view and from Inishi's point of view, but in the manga, Inishi actually saw his sister's ghost. Like, that's how you knew he was insane, basically. Like, he was not just like praying to his sister or communicating with his sister or something. He was seeing her. It was a hallucination, like, literally. And everything he was doing was basically to try to make his sister smile. Generally, I think that came across in the movie pretty well. But I'm glad they didn't have like the hallucination itself in there, because that That would have been so cheesy. I'm sorry. I'm very glad they didn't do that. I am also very glad that they didn't do the dual twist, because the dual twist was dumb. Like, even back in the 90s in the manga, the dual twist was dumb. Are you seriously telling me that Megumi, who is a doctor, who like tends to actual human beings for a living, would not be able to discern that the dead Kaoru that they came across is a doll? Ah! I'm sorry. That was just, it was a dumb twist originally. I am so glad they didn't include it in the movie. It works so much better. I did miss Gain though, as I mentioned before. I don't know any of the names of Anishi's mooks. I don't remember. I do remember Gain though, and I remember him because he was a puppet master. He was the one that made the puppet Kaoru, right? So I remember him because of that. And then when you take out puppet Kaoru, you take out Gain entirely. Like, you don't need him anymore, right? So it was funny because my brother kept asking me about the names. I'm like, I don't know any of the names. I know one name and he's not even in the movie. So that was fun. The scene where Enishi tries to choke Kaoru, A+. That was an amazing scene, and I wanted more of that. That is one of my few complaints with them like scrunching the entire season into a 2-hour movie. They didn't have enough time to show us more interaction between Enishi and Kaoru, and I really like that in the manga. Don't get me wrong, I don't ship them necessarily, because, you know, you're watching Kenshin at this point. You know that Kenshin and Kaoru are going to be endgame. That's a thing. There's nothing else for them, basically. But I really enjoyed the interaction between Kaoru and Enishi, especially considering that Enishi is like doing all of this for his sister. So Kaoru sort of, I'm not saying she becomes like a sister figure to him or anything, but like this idea of a woman, of an innocent woman getting caught up in something that doesn't really have anything to do with her and suffering as a result and possibly even dying. So like Enishi kidnaps her to make Kenshin suffer, but he doesn't necessarily feel good about kidnapping Kaoru because he's basically like endangering her, who is an innocent and a woman who kind of sort of, maybe if you squint a little bit, looks a little bit like Tomoe, and it reminds him of his sister. And there's this idea that Kaoru can be sort of like a morality pet for Enishi. Like, you know what the morality pet trope is? Is like this little innocent character that makes the villain sort of think about what they're doing and about why their actions are wrong, and maybe draw them to the good side, you know, the side of the light or whatever. Kaoru was a little bit like that, not entirely, because she, you know, she's on Kenshin's side all the time, and she never, it's not like Stockholm Syndrome or anything, but like she can see that there's more to Enishi than just a psychopath, you know. There's a pain in there, and she sees that. She gets to see that in their interactions, and Enishi gets to know her as a person instead of just a, I don't know, hostage. And we saw very little of that in the movie. It was just that one scene, and don't get me wrong, I loved that scene. It was such a great scene, but it was one scene, and I wish we could have seen more of the two of them interacting. It would have even made his saving her at the end make even more sense. You know what I mean? Because he's not just like, he doesn't just consider her expendable anymore. She's become like, he's seen her as a person, and because of that he doesn't want her to die. And I don't think we get enough of that in the movie too. Like, I know it because in my head, like, I understand that that's what happened in the manga, but I think someone watching the movie without that background knowledge would probably be like, but wait, why did he save her? Like, didn't he kidnap her? Wasn't the point to see Kenshin suffer or whatever, and suddenly he's saving her? It seems like a very quick turnaround, when I know that in reality in the manga it was not. They interacted a lot while she was kidnapped, and they saw things from each other's point of view a lot more. and I wish we could have had more of that, but we didn't. Still though, that one scene we got was amazing. Probably one of the best scenes of the movie. And also, that location was gorgeous! Where is that? I need to go to that place. Like, seriously, it's bloody gorgeous. I did not need to see him vomit, though. Like, was that in the manga? I can't remember, but... eh. I mean, they could have just given us, like, a discretion shot, but no, we saw the whole thing. It was... You know, warn people about these things. Netflix, whatever. I mean, I don't care. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me. I just feel like there are people who might have been bothered by that and they didn't really warn anything about it. There was a scene that I just laughed so hard when Kenshin gets to the house and the mooks are fighting him. You know, the Chinese dude with the gun. And Sojiro comes in. Like, the Sojiro reveal happens. And Sojiro seems like he's going to fight Kenshin, and then he starts attacking the mooks. And then the Chinese guy with the gun is like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I'm just sitting there like, "Betraying you, dumbass." Duh! Were you expecting anything? Like, seriously, have you not seen any movies? Anyway, also, that fight, that entire fight, like the back-to-back Sojiro and Kenshin against the mooks fight, epic. Bloody epic. That was like maybe one step below the Anishi scene in the first Sojiro fight, like a little bit below, but still pretty freaking epic. When Kenshin, there's a part, I don't remember when exactly it was. It might have been before he went to Anishi's place to confront him. But there's a moment when Kenshin is like thinking about just there's this whole montage of people and his friends and how they care about him and how they want him to live, you know, how they want him to be happy. The tears, you guys, seriously, it was just so beautiful. And I love that they pulled scenes from all the previous movies. It made it feel like they were planning on this like the entire time for the entire Ford movie run. So like it really hit me hard. I really enjoyed it. Oh, that was so sweet. And then in the final fight, Kenshin apologizing to him. What? To Anishi? Why do you oh, my feels? I seriously, like it's giving me chills right now. Like my oh, fuck, seriously. Look at that. Like, I'm getting goosebumps. It's just hearing him apologize to Anishi was like everything. Everything. I loved it so much. Now, let me talk a bit about the characters and the acting. I just have to say, it's been 4 movies of this, and I am still not sick of Takeru Sato as Kenshin. Like, he is so freaking perfect as Kenshin. I'm just like, this guy is so fucking talented. Like, he can say more with one like look and one gaze, like really far away, and one press of his lips, like, you know, he can say so much with just an expression and a slight smile and a turn of his head, and I just he's so good. I can't. There's no one in this world who could have been a better Kenshin. I said it. Like, usually I'm open to being like, okay, so this person was good, but he's not like the ultimate best. No one else can. No one else can play Kenshin better than Takeru Sato. He's so great. Speaking of amazingness, Makenyu, or however you pronounce his name, I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong, but Makenyu, he was so good as Anishi. So good. Like, there's this scene at the very beginning, like the first scene of the movie, when he's on the train and Saito like is trying to capture him, and they're fighting, and like he pulls back to try to get away from Saito, and he falls, like sits down on one of the train like chairs or whatever you call them. He sits down and he like uses the same movement to just cross his legs and smirk at Saito, while Saito is like in the Gatotsu pose, you know, but he sits down, crosses his legs, and smirks. And I was like, oh my god, I love him. Like, this is the first scene in the entire movie. I am already like sold, love him, best. I just, so great. And I really enjoyed how he, in the first half of the movie, he just looked like super bored, which is totally an Anishi thing to do. Like, whatever. Oh, you want me to, like, I don't know, traffic drugs and weapons through the Chinese-Japan border? Sure, you know, that's something I do every day. It's not like a big deal or anything. that's totally like an Anishi thing to do. But then in the second half, he looks incredibly tortured. Like, Jesus, he's so good. I really truly felt how much he loved his sister and how just over his head he was in wanting to avenge her and to make Kenshin suffer as much as he suffered when Kenshin took the person he loved the most from him. And it was so good. He was so, that torture, that internal torture just came across so well, and I loved it. Also, I'm not distracted by Anishi's shoulders and biceps. Like, I'm not, really, I swear, I'm not. I actually like new Yahiko better than old Yahiko. That might be a controversial, like, opinion, I don't know. I liked him better. I don't know. Felt more like Yahiko. Maybe because he was taller. I don't know. Aoshi didn't get many lines in this movie, and my brother and I were joking that it had been like 2 or 3 scenes already and he hadn't said anything yet, and we're like, wouldn't it be really funny if Aoshi turns out to not have any lines in this movie? No. Eventually he did have lines, but you know, he's very efficient with his speaking. He only says things when they're important, and he came through with that one badass boast that he gave when he was fighting in the town. I thought that was like, this is a series that is generally known for its badass boasts. Like, it always happens whenever any of the characters is like fighting someone, they go and talk about what's right and defeating evil and like helping people, and it's all like a bunch of badass boasts. Aoshi's might have been the best one. I thought it was a really good boast. So there's that. Like, he didn't say much, but he said that, so that's good. Also, I found really funny, like, this is the L'Oreal because you're worth it version of Cho. It was funny. Like, my brother was speculating that maybe just like keeping up his hairdo the way he had it in the Kyoto saga might have been too much, that they just decided, man, let's just give him long hair. I don't know, whatever the problem was, like if they did it on purpose or not, like maybe it was just a way to show people that time had passed, right? If they did it on purpose or if they didn't do it on purpose, I don't know. I don't hate it. I like it. I really like that they brought Cho back. I didn't think they were going to, because he's like, he was in the manga, but he's not absolutely necessary, right? Like, you can always just have the police figure it out, like, off camera or whatever. You don't need to have Cho there. But I was glad to see they brought him back, and I was glad to see they brought Sojiro back too, because I genuinely thought they weren't going to, you know? But I'm very glad they did. I feel like Iguchi Yosuke is going to get lung cancer from these movies alone. Oh my god, he smokes so much in this movie. Like, I don't know if he's actually a smoker or if he's just smoking for the movies, but my god, take care of your lungs, man. That is not okay. He was smoking in like every scene. Wow. Speaking of Saito though, like, why does Saito always end up in like the traps? Like, seriously, they pulled this in the Shishio saga as well, in the Kyoto saga, and now they did it again, and it's like, really? You'd think Saito would be more like smarter than this, but whatever. And can I just point out that by now it has been 4 movies. 4, count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, and they still have not once mentioned Saito's wife. Like, come on, I need this. I need him to mention his wife at some point, please. Tokyo was like, we never saw her, but I know that she was the best. That's it. Also, you cannot convince me that Saito didn't want to violently cut off that one dude's dreadlocks while they were fighting. Oh my god, Saito had such a like a father troubled by how much times have changed vibe. Like I could just see him looking at this dude in like dreadlocks and leather and like, I don't know, his whole outfit just felt like a BDSM thing. And Saito just coming in and looking at him like, what the fuck is this? You know what I mean? Like, he just had that vibe. And it made me laugh so hard. So as far as the plotline goes, the weak point is of course Kaoru. And as I mentioned before, this is not necessarily something that I blame the people who made the movie for. This is a Watsuki thing, and I know it feels super weird to even mention that guy's name nowadays after everything that's happened with him, and believe me, I do not want him to bring him up any more than I do, but I'm just bringing it up to say that it was, you know, Kaoru progressively got more and more useless as the manga went on. I don't think that's a coincidence necessarily, but it's unfortunate because, like, seriously, she's a kendo master. Let her do something. Let her fight someone. At least in the anime, she had a few fights. In the movies, they had to cut them out for time. I understand, but it sucks that she doesn't get to do anything. And I do wonder if it's just because the actress herself just doesn't know kendo and wouldn't look realistic doing the kendo moves or whatever. But like, even in the manga, even in the source material, Kaoru just got progressively more and more useless as time goes by. And in the Jinchuriki saga, she was basically just there to get kidnapped, and that was it. And that sucks. And I swear to God, I will die of eternal frustration. But it's not necessarily the fault of the filmmakers, because that was kind of in the manga, you know? I don't know. It just, I find it extremely frustrating. At least Misao got one fight. One. Thank you. Kaoru's just, I don't understand. Like, she's a freaking kendo teacher. Even Yahiko lasted longer against the Nishi than she did. Like, seriously? Come on! He's 11. Really? I just... eternal frustration, you guys. Seriously, it's such a waste of a good character. I don't understand. Now, let's talk a little bit about the shipping. Because, and I have to say this right off the top, I appreciate them giving me not one, not two, but 3 Sano Megumi scenes. Yes, please feed me, nourish me. I need it. I was not expecting that, and it made me squeal. Yes, I am aware I may be like the only still living Sano Megumi fan in the entire world, but they are my OTP. Not just my Kenshin OTP, but like one of my biggest OTPs of all time. It's Sano Megumi. I love them. They didn't really get a lot of time to interact in this Kenshin movie series, but in this movie, they gave me 3 whole scenes, like, okay, not whole scenes, but like moments with Sano Megumi like interacting in a kind of funny, flirty way, and I really enjoyed it. And I'm so hyped. I might have to go and like write more Sano Megumi fanfiction, which I haven't done in like 2 decades or something, which is hilarious. But like, I really enjoyed that they actually took the time to include those, because I think it's adorable, and it really makes me so happy. I love it. One thing that bugged me is that Yahiko didn't even look at Tsubame. Like, Tsubame was right there. Yahiko was looking at Sano. What? That's just wrong. Seriously? Come on, give me a little something, you know? There was this one shot of Aoshi and Misao getting ready to like send some looks to hell when they were fighting in the town. I dig. Like, that one shot of the two of them like standing together like in fighting pose. Great. That whole fight scene honestly was just 100. I loved it. And then moving on to like Kenshin and Kaoru, who are, you know, the main pairing of this movie series. There was one moment that really hit me. After Kenshin meets Inishi for the first time. They don't fight, Inishi just talks basically, and Kenshin's like, fucking hell, what? So he's like in shock, right? So he gets to the dojo after that, and Kaoru, all the others come up to him like, what happened? What's going on? Why are you like weird? And Kaoru says, "Okari nasai, Kenshin," which is, you know, welcome home. And he doesn't say Tadaima back, and he's just like, like, my heart, you know what I mean? Like, it's the dynamic, right? She says "Okari nasai" and he says "Tadaima," which means welcome home, and he says "I'm home," and it's just their thing, you know. That's what it was, the important thing of the entire Kenshin saga that Kenshin found after wandering Japan for like 10 years. He found a home in the dojo with Kaoru and their, you know, makeshift family. And it was so, like, she tells him "Okari nasai" and he doesn't say "Tadaima" back, and it's just like, fuck. Why would you do that to me? It was such a simple scene, but it hit me so hard. God. And then of course the ending, which I guess it's supposed to make them canon, I guess, but it's so funny because I'm sitting there and he extends his hand back to her and she holds it, and I'm like, oh no, look, they're holding hands, we're going to have to up the ratings of PG-13 right now. It's like, seriously? You're not even going to allow them to kiss? Come on. I know it's Japanese culture, whatever. I would have liked to see it. I know I'm looking at it with Western glasses, you know, but I can't help it. I'm sorry. But I mean, it was sweet. I'm not saying I didn't like it. It was sweet. It was just like super, like, after you have like Sanosuke like coughing up blood, that's fine. But a kiss between two people who love each other, that's too much. Like, come on, man. It's just funny. I like it, but it's just funny. Whatever. And as a last point, I just want to say, hey, we could have had less scenes of Kenshin brooding and looking at the distance in a worrying way, and instead have had more scenes of Inishi and Kaoru interacting. Just saying, like I said before, I don't necessarily ship them, but like I thought their interaction was very interesting, and I wish we could have seen more of that. So that's one of my few complaints when it comes to this movie. Other than that, though, I really enjoyed it. I feel like I should watch it again this week. And I really liked it. And I hadn't felt like this about the Genshin movies since the first one. So that's a good thing. Like I said, I wasn't looking forward to the prequel like before, but after watching this movie, I'm actually looking forward to it a little bit, and I will watch it and come back and let you know. Maybe do a full review if there's enough that I have to say about it, I guess. I don't know. I don't know how long that will be, but I'm actually looking forward to it, and it's really close. I think it comes out in June 30th, so 2 weeks from now ish, I guess. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I look forward to see the Kenshin saga just end on a good note and, you know, wrap up with a nice little bow, because these movies have been great, all of them so far, at least. Some are better than the others, but as a whole, they're pretty damn great. And they are the ultimate proof that not every anime live action adaptation is going to be terrible. You know, some of them are pretty good. And the Kenshin movies are just basically the gold standards. And I'm gonna keep on saying it because I love these movies so much, and I really enjoyed this one. This is coming from someone who's a fan of Inishi. God damn, this was a good movie. I really loved it. Everybody should watch it. So check it out on Netflix. And I guess that's about it from me today. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you like my stuff, please subscribe to my channel. I'm always happy to see people liking and sharing and commenting and subscribing. It really helps me a lot. YouTube algorithms, you know, engagement, all that stuff. It really helps. In the meantime, you can find me on social media. I am on Twitter and Instagram at girlsareweird with underscores between the words, and I am on Tumblr at girlsareweird with hyphens between the words. You can find the Facebook page for this vlog at facebook.com/FreakingNarnia, and as usual, you can visit my main website at FreakingNarnia.com/vlog, that's VLOG, where all my videos are uploaded. In case you miss any, you can go browse around, check it out, do a search. It's all in there, so be sure to visit. Also remember that I have a Redbubble store where I make art based on my favorite quotes from my favorite fandoms, and you can use those quotes to print on different kinds of merch, such as coffee cups, computer covers, t-shirts, all kinds of cool stuff in there, so be sure to check it out. If you prefer to have these episodes of Talks from Freaking Narnia as podcasts, so audio only, no video, if that's more your jam, if you think that's better for you, then what you want to do is subscribe to my Patreon for a very small sum of money every month. You can have these episodes in podcast form on the same day they go up on YouTube. So if that's more your jam, go ahead and do that. And also, you know, you might want to hang around for other stuff. For example, I post extra videos, as I mentioned earlier in this episode. I post extra videos, and for example, the last one I posted was about Shadow and Bone. Those are only on Patreon, so you need to be subscribed in order for, you know, in order to be able to see it. If you want to, I'm just saying, there are different tiers, there's a lot of content in there, so be sure to check it out. Or you can also donate to my Ko-fi page. Just make sure to leave me a note and say, hey, I want to watch the Shadow and Bone video, or some other video that I posted and mentioned in one of my episodes. And if you tell me, I will let you know, thanks for your generous donation, how you can watch it. You know, it's pretty easy, I think. Not very complicated. There's a lot of stuff in there, so be sure to check out my Patreon and my Ko-fi page. And that's pretty much it for me today. I don't know what I'm going to do next time, if it's going to directly be a review for the prequel movie, or if it's something else. I don't know what else I have coming, honestly. I guess we'll see. But yeah, that's about it from me today, and I will see you guys next time with another video from all the way in freaking Narnia. Bye everybody! So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do to, like, the Kyoto, I didn't miss Guy. He was the one that made the, sorry, that Saito didn't want at Girls Are Weird with